Hello, and welcome to Arts, Movies, and Us, the channel where we talk about movies, draw pictures, and tell you about our crazy lives. My name is Jade, I am a graphic novel writer and illustrator, and today I'm here to share with you my very first speed painting. This speed painting is one half of a two-part art trade with one Deviant Art user, YellowDancer. A few weeks ago, she approached me and my brother about doing an art trade on Deviant Art. We weren't quite sure what an art trade really was, so we asked her about it, and the basics of it is that she draws a picture for us and we draw a picture for her. So she drew a picture of Gilda and Dash when they were young at Junior Speedster Flight School. I will post a link in the description to this picture if you're interested. And we decided to draw some pictures of these pony OCs, Candy-chan and Feathershine. I do hope I'm getting their names right. So I thought I might take this time to tell you a little bit about my personal journey as an artist. It all started when I was back about, 11, 12 years old, a scrawny little fella. I got my first art teaching video as a Bob Ross DVD. And I went home, watched it, was heavily inspired. I bounced over to our craft room, busted out the old acrylic paints, and painted, and promptly got very angry because I couldn't make my paintings look as good as his. I'm pretty sure we've all had that problem when we follow great artists' advice and we can't seem to get things right. So I think it was about a week later, after practicing quite a bit with acrylic paint still, because I didn't know he was using oil paints, I finally actually managed to paint a rather magnificent painting, I would say, and we got it framed and it's still hanging in our house to this day. That was my first taste of being taught art, but I didn't really like painting per se. It just didn't feel like I had as much control as I did with a pencil, for I'd been doing pencil and pen artwork for quite a few years before. So I stuck to that and didn't really give painting too much of a serious consideration until many years later. About 2016, I got my first art books. There were 2 books on watercolor painting, and from there I went to town with painting. I had so much fun throughout the summer of 2016 painting all sorts of watercolor pictures. In the future, I'll post these to my Deviant Art page once I actually get a good way to scan them or take pictures of them, because currently I don't have a good way to do that and they'd look awful. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun with the watercolor medium, and I also did a little bit with the acrylic medium, but neither one I could really get the effects that I wanted as an artist. Is because I would see other people's artwork and I'd say, how are they doing that? That must be an airbrush. So I was all set to get started in airbrush painting when I discovered the digital medium. And then I thought to myself, the digital medium looks like the easy man's way out. That's just a cheating way of painting. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of artists out there who think that. I've heard about them. But I gave myself a challenge. Master every form of traditional art, then you can move along to digital. So I was going to do this, then I saw more digital artworks that I actually really liked, and from there I was like, right, I'm gonna try it out. So I got my older brother's bamboo Wacom tablet. He lended it to me, along with his Photoshop on his computer, and I started painting some pictures and stuff with Photoshop. I had no bloody clue what I was doing. A lot of my original artwork turned out kind of weird, to be frank. Oh, and correction, I wasn't painting with the bamboo tablet yet. I got that later on from him. I was painting with a mouse. Literally my computer mouse. I was using the paint. So the results I got were not very desirable. And from this point, I started to scratch my head and think, how are these other artists making such great artwork? And yeah, I'm creating these really adequate artworks, in my opinion. I mean, they're all right, but they ain't great. So I found out they were using pen tablets. And I was like, oh, I remember that thing. My brother Darkin lended it to me. I wonder if he still got it. Hey, Darkin, you got that bamboo tablet still? Yeah, it's on my desk. So I grabbed it and set to work trying to figure it out. My first paintings using a pen tablet with a computer, I think, was one of the most trippy things I've ever done in my life, because you're drawing down here, you're looking up here, and I had no clue what I was doing. But I managed to paint some rather decent Lion King artwork which I ended up doing some repaints of, and you can see them on my Deviant Art page. I'll link to them in the description. But yeah, that was my first experience with digital art, and I continued on throughout the entire year of 2017 painting digitally. And yes, I've only been painting digitally for a little over half a year now, and yet the results of how good I've gotten speak for themselves on the screen. Not to brag or anything, yes, I'm so full of myself, aren't I? But, silliness aside, I have improved immensely, and am still improving. I still watch digital art painting classes, color classes, any classes I can find, or videos I can find, which may teach me some more about artwork. I watch, because, frankly, I'm good, but I can always be better. That's always been my philosophy. I'm good at what I do, but I can always get better. That's been my philosophy of story writing for movies and graphic novels. A fun story there. I actually decided to become a filmmaker back when I was only 10 years old. One morning I woke up and I was like, I'm going to be a filmmaker. It was just like a sign from God. It just like hit me in the face. And said, Jade, you're meant to be a filmmaker. And so I came up with a lot of interesting ideas for different stories. Me and my brother, to give him some credit, because we work together on everything. And our stories, our artwork, well, not our artwork, but we work together on character design and story writing. The only thing which we don't work together on is drawing the same pictures. We tried that once and got really angry at each other because we're both very egotistical artists and didn't like the idea of the other one stepping on our toes. So yeah, back to my story about becoming a filmmaker. So at 10 years old, I didn't have the resources to make films yet, but I started writing them. By God, I did. And we came up with a simple philosophy. We are going to make movies for kids, made by kids. And we've kept that philosophy alive. We've kept that philosophy alive growing up. We've always kept in mind high quality stories and films for children, and the kind of children's media that we would have wanted to see at that time. Because during the era which we were growing up in, the early 2000s, children's media had taken a bit of a nosedive. It may have just been that year, but it may have just been those years. But a lot of really bad movies for children came out that year, which me and my brother were very unimpressed with and thought were pretty dumb, frankly. So we set about writing stories that we would like to do, and that continued all the time we were growing up. We were always writing stories. So we've had about 10 years of experience writing movies and books. None of these have ever been published or made, and they never will be. But each time we would write a story with a group of characters that we made up, we would keep working on it, and I always had this feeling it can be better. So we'd toss out entire scripts after writing them and say, let's make something new. The one things that did remain the same were the characters. And every time we would toss out one of these old stories, we would keep what we liked. So we developed characters, worlds, and sometimes storylines or story ideas that we kept alive way into their, final incarnations. And such as a good example is one of our future graphic novel projects. Currently it's in early development. It's called Latifa of Myria. It's a story based in sort of this fantasy alternate universe. There's no humans in this on this world. They're all races that we made up ourselves. The idea behind this started with some of our older ideas of animals inhabiting a world instead of humans. It's not a new idea. This one's been tossed around for many, many years. But eventually we got burnt out the idea of just like, they're just ordinary animals. Why don't we make our own species? So we did that. Let me know if you'd like to see some more development art on our original projects. Currently I'm working on a My Little Pony fan comic called Love is Magic. It's about Cadence and Shining Armor when they were kids. If you want to check that out, feel free to bounce over to my Deviant Art page. I have about 2 chapters uploaded. I'm currently working on the 3rd chapter. This one's been a long time coming, a long time coming. That's been 2 months storyboarding, but I finally got it right and I've moved on to the illustration. So yeah, that will be popping up on my Deviant Art page in a few, hopefully a few weeks. We'll see how quickly the illustration and painting goes. And don't worry, it's not one of those typical sort of fan fictions which are all grown up and ugh. No, this is written in the same fashion that I believe the series is written in. Children can enjoy it, and so can older folks. Older folks. Your grandpa can enjoy this as well. Now, in all seriousness, it's a good story for all ages, and it's family friendly, I'll put it that way. As not to continue wimbling on. To this day, sometimes I look at the fact that I draw My Little Pony artwork, and am currently writing a My Little Pony story, and think to myself, the heck? Because I never saw My Little Pony being amongst the list of great stories and media for children. But hey, you can't judge a book by its cover, am I right? If you enjoyed this speed painting, please subscribe and like this video, because it really helps us out. That may sound cliche, but it's the truth. And if you like our artwork, please go over to our Deviant Art page and follow us there. My name is Jade, and good night.